A lone warrior searching for his destiny. A tribe of lost children waiting for a hero. In a world battling to survive, they face a woman determined to rule. Hey there, welcome back to another review, this time of the 1985 film Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. As I like to call it, Mad Max Beyond Thunder Shits, because when you watch this movie, you better make sure you're sitting on the toilet, because you're gonna get the thunder shits. As you can see by that, I don't like this movie. Let's get on with the rest of this fucking review. The film was directed by George Oglive and George Miller. George Oglive directed the sequences that dealt with non-action sequences, so sequences that had the actors just having to act, and anything that didn't have any action in it, George Oglive directed. George Miller directed the action sequences. It's written by George Miller and Terry Hayes. Features cinematography by Dean Semler. It features music by Maurice Jarre. It stars Mel Gibson as Mad Max, Tina Turner as Auntie Entity, Bruce Spence as Jedediah the pilot. It's kind of like the gyrocopter pilot, but not really. Adam Cockburn as Jedediah Jr., which is actually a perfect name for this fucking movie. Perfect casting. Somebody named Cockburn to be in this movie that makes you feel like your cock is burning while you're watching it. Frank Thring as the collector, Angelo Rossitto as master, Paul Larrson as blaster, Angry Anderson as Iron Bar, if I could fucking say the word Iron Bar, forgive me. This movie just it twists my brain cells into two because this movie just shits on them and makes them just suffocate because of its fucking bullshit. Angry Anderson, that's another perfect casting choice for this movie. Have a guy named Angry in a movie that makes me angry! Angry! I'm angry at this piece of shit! It's fucking excuse for a Mad Max movie. Fuck Beyond Thunder shits. Paul Larrson plays Blaster, Angry Anderson Iron Bar, Robert Grubb plays Pig Killer. Rather eat a whole bowl of fucking grubs than watch this shit boring ass bullshit again. Helen Buday plays Savannah Nix. That's your cast and crew of this piece of fucking shit. This pile of pig shit and piss. I guess the film was originally not supposed to be a Mad Max movie, but a post-apocalyptic Lord of the Flies flick about children who were found by an adult. But then it ultimately became the third Mad Max film because George Miller thought it would be a good idea to bring Mad Max into this and have him be the one that found the kids. Man, I like you, George Miller. I really love The Road Warrior. I think you did a good job with Mad Max. I like Witches of Eastwick, another film that you did. But no, that's just not a good idea. You're the one that came up with the idea to have Mad Max babysit a bunch of kids. And I'm sorry, I gotta call you out on that. It's a stupid idea and it sucked. Should have just kept with whatever your Lord of the Flies and apocalyptic movie and leave Mad Max out of it. But I guess George Miller even lost interest in the project after his friend and producer Byron Kennedy was killed in a helicopter crash while location scouting. Which that's really too bad. I gotta admit, may Brian Kennedy rest in peace. And you could tell that George Miller's heart wasn't in this film, so he shouldn't have done it in the first place. He just had it shelved and never made the movie. But he finished it as a tribute to Byron, but I know it's a tribute to Byron, and I know you dedicate the film to him, but the movie sucks. And for me personally, it sucks. So it's could have done a better tribute, but that's just me personally. I know a lot of people like this movie, and that's okay, to each their own. Two scenes were cut from the film to bring down the running time. In the first, Max dreams of his murdered wife and son, and he wakes up and cries. Yeah, because he just saw this movie. And then he realizes he's become just as bad as the animals he used on down as a cop. Actually, that sequence sounds actually kind of interesting. It would actually add a little bit more of a connection with this film to the other Mad Max movies, which there really isn't much. So I wouldn't mind it if that scene was kept in. And another one is Gecko died, and then he took him to Bartertown and says, "We made it to Tomorrow Land." Which that might have been interesting a little bit too, to add a little bit more of connection between Mad Max and these kids. But either way, I didn't care about the kids in the first place, and that's all I gotta say about behind the scenes or anything. Mad Max gets sent to Thunderdome to take care of Master Blaster for Entity. He doesn't succeed. He gets sent to the Gulag, which is the desert. He gets saved by kids. Bunch of Lost Boys rejects from Peter Pan. Babysits them. Leads them out of their town. Back to Bartertown. Steals a train. Gets chased by Tina Turner. Entity. And he leads them to safety. Finds a way for them to leave this land and eventually find Tomorrow Land. That's it. That's your fucking movie. Pros? If I have to say any pros about Mad Max Beyond Thunder Dick, or Thunder Shit, or Thunder Thighs, I'd say Dean Semler's cinematography was pretty good. It definitely did look. It actually had quite a few shots that were actually pretty beautiful. So Dean Semler did a good job with the cinematography. He did the cinematography for The Road Warrior as well, and he did a good job. I mean, the cinematography is an issue. It definitely set up some really good looking shots. Some lines of dialogue: two men enter, one man leaves, dying time is here, and a few other lines, but I don't think it's as quotable as some people say it is. I don't find the line, "Who runs Bartertown? Master Blaster! Who runs Bartertown? Master Blaster runs Bartertown." I'm like, yeah, okay, alright. But yeah, two men enter, one man leaves, which really isn't the case, because Mad Max doesn't even kill the guy. But that's a whole nother fucking story. And I'm gonna get off track if I keep talking about that. I need to talk about the pros. I'm talking about the things I liked about this movie, which there wasn't much because I didn't like this movie. But two men enter, one man leaves. Dying time is here. A few other lines of dialogue. They're okay. They're actually pretty good. Two men enter, one man leaves is definitely a pretty memorable line of dialogue. But that's the most memorable line for me. Performances by Mel Gibson and Helen Buday. I thought Mel Gibson did a good job with what he was asked to do, which he wasn't given much to do in the first place. He was basically given jack shit to work with, so I thought his performance was pretty decent despite all of the problems that this film has. Helen Buday, who plays Savannah Nix, I actually liked her. I know there's people who think she's terrible, and once again, to each their own. I thought she was actually pretty decent in her performance. Tina Turner songs on the soundtrack. We Don't Need Another Hero. One of the Living. Good songs. Even though I kind of think of We Don't Need Another Hero as "We don't need another shitty movie like Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome." I'm sorry, I know I'm supposed to just talk about pros, but I couldn't help it. Because we're talking about We Don't Need Another Hero, and that's kind of how I think about this fucking movie. I think we don't need another shitty Mad Max movie. But I still like those songs. They're good songs. Parts of the Thunderdome fight, the bungee cord stuff, I thought was unique and fun. Leaping up in the air with the bungee cords, grabbing weapons and stuff. The concept of using whistle to disable blaster. So there were some good things about the Thunderdome fight. I didn't think the whole fight was that great, but there were parts of it that I did like. The production design by Graham Grace Walker I thought was really good. The look of the Thunderdome, the whole look of Bartertown, the whole look of the film was really well done. The art direction and the production design. Costume design by Norma Morrishow or so. Norma Morrishow. She did a great job. The look of the anti-entity, the look of all the different her warriors or her people in command, and definitely did a good job with that. So yeah, but that's really about it. That's all I really have for pros. There isn't much. Now we get to the real shit. And we get to the deep shit. We get to the just the ass crack of the movie, the cons, which I think there are a lot of them. This is my personal opinion. I think this movie is chock full of cons and issues and big ass problems. And that's just me personally. I know a lot of people love this film, to each their own. I know Roger Ebert, may he rest in peace, he gave this film 4 out of 5 stars. Called it, no, it's actually 4 out of 4. Sorry. He gave it 4 out of 4 stars, not out of 5. 4 out of 4. He gave it a perfect rating, and it was one of the few films in 1985 that he gave a perfect rating to. To each their own, but I don't get it. I don't. I really don't. Mainly because the writing and the story of this film is piss poor. It's fucking piss poor on almost every level except the few lines of dialogue that I already mentioned. The rest of it is disjointed and awkward, and it just doesn't work. It's like two different movies. You first start out with the stuff in Bartertown, when the Thunderdome, which is kind of like a Mad Max movie, but a Mad Max movie that lost its fucking balls, that got its nuts clipped. This is exactly what you wanted to see, a PG-13 Mad Max film. You take the Road Warrior, which is badass, which has got a lot of violence in it and a really good edge, and you take it all away in order to appeal to some kids, because I guess Mad Max was supposed to be for kids? No! Just like RoboCop wasn't supposed to be for kids, Mad Max wasn't supposed to be for kids either. Making this franchise PG-13 was another giant con and a big fucking mistake. And the writing just it's also a huge con. I mean, like I said, two different movies. You have a neuter Mad Max film in the beginning where it just doesn't have the edge that the other films did. And then after Thunderdome, it turns into fucking Peter Pan. And I'm like, what the fuck is this Peter Pecker, Peter Pan bullshit? What is this doing in a Mad Max film? It doesn't feel right. It's like two different movies. Mad Max gets sent off to the fucking desert, gets picked up saved by these kids, talking about, can you take us to Tomorrowland? Captain Walker, please. Puts a fucking stupid bird hat on his head and all this other stupid shit. The backwards speak language or whatever the fuck. Mad Max is obviously annoyed by these kids just like you are. And he's like, shut up. And they're like, shut up. And they're like, be quiet, be quiet. I'm like, shut the fuck up, you stupid kids. God, that's exactly what Mad Max needed. A bunch of fucking kids. No, fuck the kids. Didn't need to be in this movie. But so just have those two. So it's kind of it's Mad Max film in the beginning, but a shitty one. And then it's a fucking Peter Pan. And then it decides to, oh, let's rescue the kids and go back to Bartertown, I guess, because they want to find Tomorrowland. Might as well be Never Neverland. This movie can go to and never come back from. And it just go to Never Neverland and so forth. But they go to Tomorrowland. My bad, sorry. Go to Tomorrowland, and then which is Bartertown, and then they have this lame shit to kick some guys into fucking pig shit and slide down the slides like it's fucking Goonies, and then you have this really shitty chase at the end that has all the impact of a fucking wet fart. Great. That's your story. It's a shitty story. The score is also really terrible by Maurice Jarre. It sounds like it belongs in a sappy ass fantasy movie, not a Mad Max film. And there's other parts of it that are really terrible too. Like in the beginning of the movie, it's just a bunch of clanking noises. Like that's supposed to be a fucking score. It's like clank, clink, clank, 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 clink, 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 clank, clank. I'm like, please stop it. Stop with the fucking wind chimes before I beat you in the face with every single one of them and strangle you with the cords that are used to keep those damn chimes together. For fuck's sake, Maurice Jarre. I understand why they chose you to do the score for this movie, because you wanted to jar people's senses with your shitty score. And it was this terrible score, huge step down from Brian May's score from Mad Max and The Road Warrior. The tone of the film, it sucks. It's trying to be a kids' film at points with these kids, and you even have a Bugs Bunny doll, and but it has swearing. One of the kids says the F word. Yes, one of the kids says fuck. I wanted to say it too. I pretty much was saying fuck while I was watching the movie, just like fuck, 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 fuck. And so the kid says fuck, the other kid says shit, and then you have like the guy flips the camera off. Fucking pissed me off because the movie is a shitty fucking excuse for a climactic car crash that just sucked dick. And then the film has the audacity to have Iron Bar flip the camera off. And I'm like, no, no, fuck you, Mad Max Beyond Thunder, dick. Yeah, fuck you. You get the middle finger, you piece of fucking shit. You're the one that gets the fucking middle finger, you fucking piece of fucking garbage. Fucking pig shit, gutter trash, piss stained motherfucker. Anyway, I don't like this movie. I honestly thought this was one of the worst sequels I've ever seen. I would rather watch Poltergeist 3 than watch Mad Max Beyond Thunder Dick. But anyway, so the tone, it just doesn't work. It's trying to be for kids. You even have cartoon style violence. You have a scene where Iron Bar or Iron Butt, might as well be Iron Butt, Iron Balls, is fucking holding on to something on the side of this train, and he's trying to avoid getting knocked off by this pipe or some shit. And he's going, whoa, 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 whoa. I'm like, oh my god, that's exactly what I needed. More annoying ass shit. I didn't have enough with annoying kids. I had to have an annoying villain who won't shut the fuck up either. Great! This is exactly what I wanted out of a Mad Max movie. No, it's not. It's not what I wanted at all. And so and then it doesn't stop there because there's a scene where the kids just come in, and they just smack this guy, one of the bad guys, in the face with a frying pan multiple times, and then you see the look on his face like, like, oh, what is this shit? And it's just the tone doesn't work. You have people flipping the camera off, people saying kids saying the F word, and then you have them sliding down the slide like they're at a water park. It's I don't get this fucking tone. It doesn't work at all. I don't like movies that can't find a fucking tone and stick with it. So that's another huge con for me when it comes to this movie that is full of cons. The pacing. It moves at the pace of a drug snail. If you gave some fucking snail, give it so much fucking pot that it can't barely fucking move, that is the pacing of this movie. It is super, super slow. It's in slow-mo. It's like it's walking through fucking quicksand. It has an hour of the movie, if not more than that, where nothing happens. Nothing fucking happens. Don't count the Thunderdome fight, because it's another con, because it sucked. It was a shitty fight. And that's all you had. And maybe, I don't know, not even a car chase, not even anything. Nothing. Some shitty fights with Mad Max that look ridiculous. And one time where he pulls out a shotgun and blows the feathers off a guy's head. No, he doesn't blow this head off because it's PG-13 and we're making it for the kids. So we can't blow the guy's head off. We can't be badass. We have to be lame ass. We have to lick ass. Because we're PG-13 and we're making it for the kids. But we can kiss my ass. And so there's just shitty pacing. Even when something does happen, it isn't much of anything. It's still a bunch of dicks. It's nothing. It's limp dicked. It doesn't fucking matter. It's lame as fuck. And then, speaking of lame as fuck, the action sequences. They're forgettable and lame in every aspect. George Miller directed them. I couldn't tell. George Miller's a great action director. These are shitty action sequences. Maybe it's because he was dealing with the grief of the loss of his friend, and if that's the case, all I gotta say is I'm sorry, man. That sucks. I really feel for you, but these action sequences still suck. But at the same time, I don't blame George Miller. I don't blame him for these action sequences sucking. You know who I blame? I blame the writer. And George Miller wrote it too, so maybe I can blame him. George Miller and Terry Hayes wrote it. So if Terry Hayes was the one that wrote these shitty action sequences, then I blame him. But if George Miller was the one that wrote these shitty action sequences that don't even register on any sort of awesome action scale. It doesn't even register. It's at a fucking 0. It doesn't even get to a 1. There's nothing in this movie other than some moments in the Thunderdome which have potential but are ruined because you have Mad Max have a chainsaw, but then it runs out of gas like it's a fucking joke. He gets his ass handed to him through a majority of the fight. It's until he finally finds the whistle, freaks Blaster out, and smacks him with a giant hammer for a couple times when he finally does anything. Other than that, he's just getting his ass handed to him by Blaster for the most part. It wasn't much. And then the car chases, they're nothing. Mad Max gets in a fucking car that has cowhide on it for some reason. He's driving a cow car. He might as well be driving a clown car. Because this movie is a fucking joke. Takes everything that was awesome about Mad Max and takes it away. And just shoves it up its ass and shits it all over the screen. And just is here, enjoy it. So yeah, I shitty action sequences, especially the last supposed climactic action sequence. They're on this train thing. Anti-Entity Tina Turner comes in, is trying to get the kids, and actually she's trying to get Master because she wants him because it's gonna help her whatever run Bartertown. Which I'm like, he's a good guy now, I guess, even though he was a fucking dickhead earlier. That's another con I'll get to later. Not to keep on track here, talking about the action sequences. I'd rather talk about other stuff because these action sequences suck so much. So, hey, you have this final thing, it's nothing. A bunch of kids smack a guy in the face with a frying pan, cartoonist, woo! And stupid shit, and it ends where the kids and the pilot get in this plane, they need to find some room for to fly away, and Mad Max is like, I'll make the room. We don't have enough room to take off. I'll make the room. And he just gets in a car, starts it, puts it into gear, and then jumps out. So the car then just flies into whatever anti-entity, and actually what it is, I think it crashes Iron Bar's car, makes his car flip over, and crashes into whatever really weak ass fucking group of retaliation, like villains that she had to go after Mad Max, and it just might as well just it just goes. It might as well just be this. Mad Max is, I'll make room, jump out, and then that might as well be it. It's just fucking fart. It's all the impact of a wet fart. It stinks just as bad too. And then the plane flies away, and the kids fly away to Neverland, never to be seen again. I wish, but that's not the case. To fly away and find Tomorrowland, just like some city that's covered in dust and somehow still has ability to have fucking power. I don't know. I don't fucking care. Mad Max is left alone to be the road warrior again because the franchise doesn't give a fuck about him, and they don't want him to ever, ever have any hope. But I guess that's the point. But either way, I'm fine with that because it'd be better than him hanging out with a bunch of stupid kids and like he was earlier. So, and he was thinking about settling down with those kids too. And that's another fucking pro. The character, I mean, a con. It's not a pro. The fuck am I doing? This movie's so shitty. I'm getting pros and cons mixed up. Oh god, it's just messing with my head. So it's another con, Mad Max himself. But yeah, the action sequences are terrible. And even the Thunderdome fight is shitty. I don't see what's so great about it. The concept of it and some of the things about it are cool, but it's just executed horribly. It really is. Now we get into what I was talking about earlier, actually, for Colin. Mad Max himself, he's turned into mild Max. Everything that was badass about him in the other movies is taken away from him. Has his nuts clipped, and it's just mild Max. Babysits a bunch of fucking kids. George Miller's the one that thought that was a good idea, so I do blame him. It was a good idea to have Mad Max babysit a bunch of kids. That was what he wanted to do, was have Mad Max babysit these fucking kids. Not fun for me. Just terrible. Terrible thing to give Mad Max didn't do anything. He didn't do dick. He didn't do dick. I would do more if I played with my dick than Mad Max did in this movie. Because at least I would fucking come to a climax. At least I'd have some sort of pleasure if I played with my dick. Mad Max doesn't do anything in this movie other than not kill anybody and crash one car that doesn't kill anybody either. So why is he even in this movie? So they completely missed the point of the character by a mile. And then the villains, they all blow. They all blow dicks underwater. And underneath pig shit. Tina Turner especially, she can't act. She overacts her ass off. And she's never intimidating. There's not one moment where this character is intimidating. There's nothing about this character that screams, oh, she's a badass. She spends the first half of the film being Master Blaster's bitch. Who runs Bartertown? Master Blaster! And then all of a sudden, after Blaster is killed, she has her henchmen kill him. She doesn't even kill him herself. She is now supposed to be this badass, and she's supposed to be your main villain. Bullshit! And what makes it even worse is she has Mad Max dead in his tracks at the end of the movie. She has guns and everything pointed at him and just lets him go. Not a bad pair, aren't we, Raggedy Man? I'm like, not bad, Raggedy Man. Make quite a pair. I'm like, what the fuck? Raggedy Ann? Raggedy Man. It might as well be Raggedy Ann. Mad Max is a fucking pussy in this movie. He's about as badass as Raggedy Ann. Not bad, Raggedy Man. I'm like, oh, yeah, not bad for ragging up my asshole. Yeah, raging asshole. Not bad for making my asshole ragged. Yeah, thanks. Thanks, movie. So she doesn't do anything. She doesn't die. She doesn't have a badass moment. She just has the 2 men enter, 1 man leave thing. That's it. That's all she has. And Tina Turner sings some good songs. That's it. That's it. That's all. That's all she wrote. And then Master Blaster? It's a shitty villain because the film makes you try to sympathize with him. It's like, hey, you know what? Blaster's supposed to be this big, giant, hulking, intimidating force. We're going to make it so when Mad Max knocks his helmet off in the Thunderdome fight, you're going to find out he's special. He doesn't have all his bolts in order, so to speak. He's a little bit he's mentally retarded. That's the thing. He doesn't know any better. He doesn't know any better. I'm like, oh my God, I'm supposed to sympathize with this guy? It's a mistake. You're not supposed to sympathize with the villains. At least not the way that this film handled it, that's for sure. So you're supposed to sympathize with Blaster who gets killed. And then you're supposed to sympathize with Master. I'm like, why should I sympathize with him? Why? First off, I don't like him because I found him annoying as fuck. He's trying to be Yoda and it isn't working. You're not Yoda. Please speak like a normal person before I smack you into the fucking moon. Please. Because you're driving me nuts with your annoying ass fucking line delivery. Disarm! Disarm! Yeah, I know, you know. I'm gonna quote Kung Fury, which is a much better movie than your piece of shit. I'd like to rip his arm off. You're disarmed. Yeah, you're disarmed, Master Blaster. And I'm gonna beat you in the face with it so you shut up. Then punch you through a fucking field goal post into the sun, where you will burn. You can see I definitely don't like this movie. So I don't I don't like Master Blaster. I think it's a shitty villain. It's supposed to sympathize with him. And he's a dickhead in the beginning. He's abusing his power. He's shutting off the power of Bartertown because just because he wants to hear any entity tell him that he runs Bartertown. And then by the end of the movie, he's supposed to be a good guy. We're supposed to love him, and we're supposed to think he's kind and lovable for some fucking reason. No, that's not how this fucking works, Mad Max Beyond Thunder Dick. It's not how this works. Because he was a dickhead in the beginning. That means he's always going to be a dickhead. So yeah, there's no redemption here. It isn't there, and it wasn't. There wasn't any reason for it to be there. I could give that character some redemption. I could like the character and be okay with him becoming a good guy if the film even bothered to even give a shit and actually give that character some kind of story arc that made you actually feel that he is a good guy, that he is somebody that you should care for. Other than the only thing they tried to do is drop him in with a bunch of pigs, and he's going, no, no, no. And I'm like, okay, that sucks, but you know, he was kind of a dick, so I can't really say he didn't deserve to get put in with the pigs that he treated like shit in the first place. I don't I don't get it, movie. I don't understand. And then Iron Butt, he was just as shitty too, with his doll head that's flying around on the back of his bald head. He's a joke. He's a walking cartoon. He makes faces that'll make Yosemite Sam blush. He's a fucking Looney Tune and needs to get the fuck out of this movie. It's one of the shittiest so-called right-hand men. We go from Vernon Wells, to this fucking guy. We go from Wes to Iron Butt. Great. And then, of course, those damn kids. Annoying as hell. They wouldn't shut the fuck up. Mad Max tell him to shut up. They tell him to shut up. I wanted to bitch smack all of them. I wanted to put metal plates on every single one of their mouths so they would just not say another damn word. And leave that shit to Lord of the Flies. Okay? Leave it to Lord of the Flies. Why in God's name did George Miller think this was a good idea? I really don't know why. It's one of those mysteries to me. Why George Miller thought it was a good idea to have Mad Max babysit a bunch of kids in the third Mad Max film, which was supposed to be the final film of the franchise. So I'm like, what a shitty way to go. That's a terrible way to end the franchise. You go from Road Warrior to this. To being dipped in pig shit. Great. Fucking wonderful. Fuck this movie. And yeah, there's a ton of that's all the cons I can think of. If there's any more, I might have missed them, but I think I covered all the cons because there's a lot of cons for this whole. To me, most of this movie is a con. About 95% of the movie's a con. Final verdict? What's my final verdict for Mad Max Beyond Thunder shits? It's a piece of fucking pig shit. It's a pile of stinking pig shit and piss. It's it's a horrible experience, especially after the Road Warrior. It's like sitting down in front of a pig while it shits in your mouth. It's that disgusting. It's that unappetizing. It's that displeasurable. It's a really terrible experience. And it's a shitty movie. If you like it, to each their own. That's all I gotta say. But I did not care for this movie at all, except for like a few things that I mentioned in the pros. But they don't really help they don't really save the movie. They just prevent it from getting no stars, because that's it. There's some things about it that I could give credit to, but there's nothing. Even those things aren't spectacular. You go from Road Warrior to this. It's a really steep fall. It's like falling off a cliff into sewer water. It's really just a really bad fall from grace. But yeah, I really don't know what else to say about Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. It said it was rated out of 5 stars. I'm a 1 out of 5. It's a very poor film to me. It's a very shitty movie. If I said berry shitty, maybe, yeah, I guess it is berry shitty because you eat a lot of berries, you shit a lot. Well, that's how I feel after watching this movie. I want to sit in the toilet and just shit for days. As if I ate a bunch of fucking berries and fruit. This movie is a perfect cure for constipation. Because it'll give you the shits. But anyway, yeah, 1 out of 5 stars. This movie sucked. Sucked my dick the wrong way. It bent it backwards, broke it off, and then it grew legs and then fucked me in the ass. Watch the California Dream, I think it was like the California Dreams music video from California Love, not California Dreams, a California Dream. And yeah, listen to that song rather than watch this movie. Dream of a better movie. Yeah, watch California Love. That music video with Tupac Shakur that used sets from this. Watch that. Or just watch Waterworld. Because Waterworld has this whole thing with kids. And it's kind of like Mad Max. But it's better. It has better action sequences. It's not a great movie either, but it's a hell of a lot better than this. It's got better action sequences. It's got more things for the hero to do. Even though it's a long movie, I still think it has better pacing. It's just a better film in every aspect than Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. But yeah, it's my thoughts on Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. Uh, did not like the movie. I am perfectly fine with never watching this movie again. That would not bother me one bit. But anyway, thank you for watching my review and rant on Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. And I hope you guys enjoyed it regardless. And I will see you guys later. See ya.
I'm gravely disappointed.